And tonight we are doing Inside Out 2, returning to the Pixar universe without Nicole. We left her behind. She's left in the dust. It's in a theater, and I don't know if you know this about Nicole, but she's no longer going to theaters, really. It's she never liked him to begin with. She never liked him to begin with, and she's a 30-year-old. She just
put her foot down?
She's a 30-year-old woman now, and she doesn't do things she doesn't want to do anymore, and she's like, I don't like the movie theater. I will go there when it's a really specific, special thing that I actually want to see. And otherwise, I really have no interest. And even when she has interest, she wanted to see this and Civil War and a couple other things. But she's like, when the time comes, it's like, I don't actually want to go in that room and sit there. So,
really? I thought she didn't mind the theater.
No, she does not care for the theater going experience. She doesn't mind movies if they're at home and she can pause it and she can ask a question or get food or whatever. But like, she doesn't like not being in control of the. And then there's people coming in, and they make sounds, and they have scents, and it's just it's a lot out of your control out there. I understand. I mean, some people just.
Me and Kyle were at the theater last night. Actually, we were both like, "I love being here." Like, we just had a conversation. Like, this is so fun.
Oh, see, isn't it great? Like, I'm so glad you guys enjoy the theater because, like, I like the experience. I just like hanging out in a big dark room. To be fair,
like 75% of the experience is the popcorn. For me.
That's true. You are heavy on the popcorn.
I do like the chair. Like, I love the reclining chair.
It's totally gone up since the chair situation has improved.
Yeah, if there wasn't the regular old school seats, I don't think I'd be as excited. But the chair makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Inside Out 2. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust have been running a successful operation by all accounts. However, when anxiety shows up, they aren't sure how to feel. Oh, that's a little funny thing there. 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, 73% Metacritic, 8 on IMDb. So the usually high Pixar scores. Jess, Pixar movies and the first Inside Out, I guess. Really, let's start there. First Inside Out. What did you think of that one? Yeah, I was going to
suggest that. Let's talk about the first Inside Out.
Yeah.
So I wish I remember where and who I saw the first Inside Out movie with. I don't remember where I was. I don't remember who I saw it with. Or even if I saw it with somebody. But I remember I really, really liked it. And I remember recommended it to my friend. And then she really liked it. And I haven't watched it since I first watched it when it came out. So that was like close to 10 years ago.
Okay.
I remember the characters. I remember I liked sadness. I remember joy. But I didn't really remember. I remember Riley, like the kid. But I didn't remember the plot too much. So I obviously wanted to rewatch it before I saw the second one. And I rewatched it, and I don't think I liked it as much as I remember liking it before. I didn't really like it, but I wasn't completely blown away. I was just regularly blown away.
So you were like maybe a 4 out of 5 originally, and now it's like a 3.5 out of 5 on a revisit.
I think it was more like 4.5 out of 5 originally, and now it's maybe maybe a 4 out of 5 now.
Okay, I was like a half star down. Okay, well, but high, very high in general.
Yeah, still really high. I loved the concept. I think most all the reviews that I've seen on like TikTok or Instagram have said like, I love the concept. It's so cool. Like, it makes you kind of think about your own mind and your own little characters in your head. I just like how original and creative it is.
And then, okay, the more Pixar alum with myself. I don't know if you've seen every Pixar movie like I have, but you've seen most. And the original Inside Out. Where does it scale in your pantheon?
So, what year did that come out?
2014, 10 years ago. You're right, Jess.
10 years ago, exactly. Yeah, so I never saw the original Inside Out.
At all?
Really?
I'm pretty sure I went to the movies to see it.
2015, 2015, yeah.
Stay awake through it. I've also tried to watch it a couple times, whether it's on Disney Plus or been on airplanes or whatever, and I could not I just could not get into it. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's my, I'm, in the valley of Pixar right now. So as opposed on the mountain of Pixar. So, I didn't have anything to compare it to. I did know the general, vibe for it and the plot sort of. So I didn't feel like I was going into Inside Out 2 blind. And they also give you a really quick, 30-second synopsis.
Yes, they do.
The movie. So that was helpful. So I kind of was going in fresh, actually.
This is a role reversal then. Jess, who's never on Pixar movies,
yes,
has seen the Inside Out, the original, twice. So
I know.
somewhat fan.
I wish I knew. Yeah, I wish I knew. Remember, if I saw it in theaters, or if I feel like I might even seen it in theaters. I don't even remember.
And then, okay, you got, what you've seen, not all, but what, there's been 25 probably Pixar movies, you've seen like 19 of them or 20 or something like that, like, and then this one, you're barely, and not for lack of trying, it sounds like you just literally can't connect to it at all, which is interesting. And then
the first one, at least, for sure.
At least the first one, yeah. The first round, we'll have to see if Inside Out 2.
So you didn't want to watch the first one?
Try to rewatch it, one more time. Give it one more try before this time.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I made the conscious decision not to, because I didn't have really great feelings toward this is going to be great.
Okay.
I didn't have really great feelings toward it in my brain already. I didn't really want to taint this. So yeah, that's why I went to see it fresh.
Okay. And then, I've seen all the Pixars, of course. Yes. Big fan of most. Small decline recently, but not for me too much, because I've still loved some of the more recent ones as well. But Inside Out, the original, was one that I was lower on than consensus. Rarely. Like, it's one of the few that I'm lower on. I think that and like Ratatouille is one of the only other ones where like I'm lower than the average person, because usually I'm either the same or higher. But the first Inside Out, I was like, I like some of this. I like some of the stuff. The bits, all the bits worked. There's like a dream bit in there with a big clown, and there's like and they go through like a weird dimensional thing. Then there's also stuff in there with like Bing Bong. I don't care for that character, the elephant.
Bing Bong.
It's not my guy. He's not my guy. People really enjoy his antics.
The clown? Do you not like clowns?
I don't really. Well, there is actually a different clown in that I actually kind of like that character. But no, it's not a dislike of clowns. I couldn't really connect to his antics, and when his emotion, he has an emotional scene later on. We won't have to do spoilers, but like that scene doesn't affect me really, and I'm known as a pretty emotional person when it comes to watching movies. So it just didn't. Maybe it's because I didn't have an imaginary friend. I don't think I ever did. I don't know if most people did. Maybe they did. I don't know. But yeah, then I rewatched it like you did, Jess. I rewatched the first one, and this time, much better. Really, really liked it this time. And that was after seeing Inside Out 2. So if you haven't seen Inside Out 2, theaters doing well at the box office, unlike many other things. Other things have done not well at the box office recently. It seems like it was about to die. And now Pixar coming back, Inside Out 2 is at $724 million worldwide as of this recording. So theaters not dead, not at all. They just needed a kids movie with some heart in it. So spoilers now, theaters, that's where you go and see it. And so Riley, our lead character, and her emotions, joy, fear, sadness, anger, and disgust, they are inhabiting 13-year-old Riley in San Francisco. She's doing hockey. Hockey's her favorite sport. And she's going to a hockey camp, and if she does well at the hockey camp, she's going to get promoted to like the varsity team and be the cool kids when she goes to high school, and her friends are going. It's going to be great. And just when all this things are looking up, there's a red button in headquarters, and the red button's the puberty button. And we saw this in the earlier movie when we got the new console in the mind room for the emotions, as it were. And this button's going off. It's freaking out. And when the puberty button goes off, these guys, the mind workers, show up and start tearing up the console, tearing up headquarters. And wouldn't you know, they got to make way for new emotions. And the new emotions are, who are these folks? There is Anxiety. Anxiety is our leader, the orange one. That's the one we've seen all the stuff for. And
what is, like, I feel like I've seen Anxiety before. Like, what?
I feel like I have too.
It's like a Fraggle Rock looking kind of character.
I'm like, were they like kind of like in Angry Monsters, or like what other show or movie or skit or whatever have I seen this character before?
They're super. Anxiety's super Muppety, Angry Monsters is a good call. That's but like a scarier Muppets, like a what did I just, like a Dark Crystal or like a Pan's Labyrinth kind of Muppet, but not
colorful.
I'm like, where have I seen this character? I swear.
In addition to Anxiety, there's Envy, Embarrassment, and Ennui, as well as another character, Nostalgia, but we're not quite ready for her. And Joy at first is, welcoming, and they're at the camp, and things are going okay at first, but then what's her name? Riley makes some faux pas in the locker room because Joy's in command, and Joy should not be in command all the time, as we learned in the first movie. And so Anxiety takes control And Anxiety actually makes some choices that help Riley in the short term, and seem to make some nice decisions there. And so, like, oh, good job, Anxiety. But Anxiety soon cannot relinquish control and decides to get rid of all of our old emotions with the new emotions. Gonna suppress the emotions, and it becomes an emotional journey for the suppressed emotions, led by Joy and her crew, to get back to the control panel to save Riley, because Anxiety is running Riley into the ground. She's running Riley ragged. Yeah. So. Let's start. Who do we want to start? Well, let's start with the fan. Jess, what did you think of Inside Out 2?
Okay, so I think my overwhelming thought is I liked it more than I did the first movie. I thought it was more, maybe I guess it's more relatable and a little less silly. Mm-hmm. So I think what I disliked about the first movie is it was so imaginative. It was like overly imaginative, like anything could happen. Like there was one scene where they were hopping from island to island and they didn't know what to do, and they're like, how do we get over here? And they're like, oh, let me like duplicate or multiply all these boy bands, and we'll climb on top of them, and then we'll swing from a rubber band and then be lifted by this bird. So I get it's a kids movie, but it was a little too much. It's like
the problem solving was too childish to believe.
Yeah, like I really could say anything that comes to the top of my head, and that would be valuable for the plot. And again, maybe it's just because I'm not as silly or childish, but I wanted a little bit more structure, maybe a tad more logic, or something that would make more sense than literally anything you could ever think of could happen. So I think that's why I disliked the first movie a tad, and this one also had that, but I don't think nearly as much. It had more things that were relatable, or more things that just made more sense. It just wasn't all over the place. But what I will say is, I don't like how the side plot is similar to the side plot of the first movie, where it's like the quest to the main part of the console.
Yeah, you're out in the mind, and you have to get back to something.
Yeah, I was like, oh, we've seen that before, we've done it, let's have a different side plot. But it was quest to the main console or whatever. So I didn't like that. I thought they could have done another side plot, because we've seen that before. But I liked a lot of.
I guess that's not really the main. It depends on who you feel like the main character is. Because in the other one, I think that's the main plot, because Joy is like the main character. But I think you're right. In this one, Joy and Riley are actually kind of more Riley has more. It's weird to say Riley has agency, because all she has is agency. But anyway, yeah, continue.
But I know I'm saying like the other main characters could have some other sort of conflict or something else they had to figure out, rather than just how to get back there.
Right. Yeah, something different. Not just, oh, we got to get back to the thing again.
Yeah. But I liked how we were more involved in Riley's life, like the conflict between her friends and being cool, and the new characters. Like, I think I liked seeing that more, which we didn't see in the other movie, which made sense because her problems were smaller because she was a kid.
Right.
So was Riley just more like a vessel in the first movie, and it was really just all about this? Because when you're saying side plot, I still feel like the Riley is the side plot in this movie, but it sounds
she is the side plot in this movie.
That's true.
In my opinion,
yeah,
she
maybe,
is. But in the
maybe
other one,
you
go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
I explained that wrong.
Right. This one is Riley feels like a 1B, where in the other one she's truly almost completely at the whim of her emotions. Where in this one, there's a couple of moments where she's almost like trying to like will with her emotions. You know, like there's almost a central Riley outside of the emotions. Where it feels like in the first one she's much more like point and click. I am in control by my emotions, and that's because in the first one she doesn't have that sense of self. She develops. That's one of the core things in this one is her sense of self is what goes missing. Right. On the outskirts, and that's what has to be recovered and eventually, like, you know, changed and grown and all that. Like, that's the core of this movie. In that other movie, she doesn't have a sense of self. She has her core beliefs, and those core beliefs, core memories make her core beliefs. And then that's in the other movie. It started with like a little basic little spinny thing, and then it became that cascading tree thing that we have in this one. So it's all just like the growth, and, like symbol, like showing, oh, here's how it was when you were a simple person, and your console was small, and your memories were small, and now you have this complex sense of self, and you have all these things that make you up that are a million things. Like, yeah.
So anxiety doesn't come for her until she hits puberty. That's very generous, honestly.
I wanted to ask you guys about this, actually. So, before we get further, it just sounds like Jess overall positive on this movie. Sounds like you liked it overall, even with the one detraction.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, Baba K, overall opinion before we go into the exact, because that was my first question too. But yeah.
Yeah, I really liked this movie.
Yeah,
I'm so glad, because I was having some Pixar issues and I didn't like it. I didn't like the Pixar issues I was having.
Right.
So I was still skeptical going in, and I went in on a weekday as a single older mom, thinking every kid in the world is going to be here because it's 95 degrees, right? And an older woman sat down a couple seats away from me, and then this gaggle of like sort of preteens came in with one person a little bit older, and I thought, okay, this is going to be it. They sat the whole time. They were so kind to each other, and they were so nice to everyone else in the theater. Wow. And there was no crazy screaming or anything going on. They did. Patrons. I think I told. Yeah, it was really kind of crazy, because I thought, it's hot outside. These people literally just came from the water park across the street. Mm-hmm. They've got to, and maybe that was the reason why there wasn't. Maybe they were exhausted.
Oh yeah, they were just beat
out. Yeah, but anyway, so I was kind of thinking, this could not be good on a couple levels. But I enjoyed this movie. I liked I had a good time with all the characters, because it's not, Riley's a main character, but it's really about her emotions as characters. And it's interesting, because I would also like to talk about not just anxiety showing up when it did, but also the fact that it seems like Joy had a big presence in the previous movie, and is in charge of her life now, and how that's also problematic, it seems like.
Yeah, Joy's
to have that.
It's kind of like someone has to be in charge. And Joy in the first one, Joy's the first emotion who shows up, and when she's like a little baby, and then like 30 seconds later, sadness shows up, and then I think it's played out that fear shows up and when she's like 1 or 2, and then disgust shows up when she's like 2 or 3, and then I think anger comes around the same. So like they all come in, right. Like joy and sadness get there like super early. The other 3 come in when she's like a 2-year-old kind of thing, and then the real world answer is, well, why does anxiety and these other 4 emotions not show up till she's 12 or 13, but you had these other ones when she was 2 or 3? And the real world answer is because it's a movie, and there's another, and it's a sequel of a movie. You got the first movie, you got 5 characters, and the second movie, you have 4 new characters. Right. Like, you couldn't. Right. And then she's 8 and she gets anxiety, and then she's 9 and she gets it. Like, you could, maybe if it was a TV show, maybe if the medium was different, but like, you can't just I think that's the real world reason, but it fits pretty well with the.
Anxiety to I don't know, an 8-year-old, right? You're just kind of anxious about things that I feel like an audience wouldn't be that interested in. Everyone gets the coming of age anxiety, but no one gets the anxiety of I don't know, they didn't pick me in kickball. A lot smaller. That's what I was going to ask you guys.
Things. Anxiety shows up in this movie, in this when she's 12 or 13, but that presupposes that up until that point she hasn't sufficient. I know she's faced hardships, and then I guess the implication is that those are all fear, anger, disgust, sad, some other combinations. But I remember being anxious when I was 4, and that was, and it wasn't fear, or it was specifically anxiety. It was. I had a shit ton of fear too, but I also had anxiety. I had that flavor, that specific difference. I wish I could have not gotten it till 12 or 13, but no. I remember that being there. As almost as early as my earliest memories.
Well, and that seems particularly late in just real world life now. You know what I mean? You've got. Particularly in girls, girls are at 9 and 10 at the makeup counter. That's all anxiety. You know what I mean? it doesn't even, that can't be envy even at that point. So
it's all the I'm not good enough, because that's her internal screaming false self
and that's
bad guy.
Yeah. It's almost like we're talking to the Gen Xer, or the baby boomer version of this, because that's when those would be happening. Don't let me forget to talk about her parents either. So,
well, they're barely in this one because it's at hockey camp the whole time, and the other one they're in it a little bit, not quite as much. I do love when we get to see the other people's heads for only, like, that's some of my favorite stuff, is when we get to see other people's heads and who's in charge of other people's heads and how their dynamics work and like who their people are. Like, I was thinking about that too. Like, they have the adults seem to have like a system worked out. They're done, kind of like they have like a council, and there's a hierarchy,
right,
where like the children still are kind of figuring it out. I don't think they do it in this one, but they showed in the first one a boy when he runs into Riley, and it's just them screaming and running around going, girl, 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 alarm, and they're just smashing into each other, just just little bits like that. I like those in this one too, but in this one I actually liked, I think, the core story much more. I guess I didn't say it. I really like this movie too. I like this more than the first one, and then when I rewatched the first one after this one, I liked that one more, I think, because I liked everybody more. I think Joy...
Wait, so which one like better? First or second?
Probably the second one, I think. But not for lack of like, I like the first one a lot more now, because in the first, my problem with the first one, not just being bong, but like, I didn't like sadness at all in the first one, because I was like, shut the fuck up and do it, and like, just like, you're annoying. And now I'm realizing, I'm like, oh wait, you're supposed to be sad sometimes, and like, that's okay, and like, that's also a valid thing, and like, that's what literally the first one's all about, making sadness valid. And I guess probably when I watched it the first time, I didn't believe that. So I was like, well, this is a bullshit Pixar movie. I mean, usually you guys are so smart with your emotions, but this time I just don't understand.
Do you think it's because you watched it when you were older and got more mature? Or it's
yes,
like watching...
it is literally that. It is literally because I've changed and gotten smarter, much like emotionally, that I think I like the first one more this time. But still, I think the second, having seen them both recently, I think the second one's better. Like, I think it does everything the first one does and improves on it. And if you had to critique it, I would agree with your critique, Jess, of that, well, you're kind of doing the same thing again. Like, I know, like, it's technically a different story, and like, you're doing different, and like, the character in charge, like, I get it, but like, it is kind of the same journey.
They need to do something else or fight over something else.
And it is Joy, like, the first one, Joy has to realize sadness has a place, and in this one, Joy has to wrestle the control away from anxiety. But in the end, again, Joy is in charge, because even though she gets all up in her head, just like anxiety does, she has a place at the table for anxiety at the end. It's not like anxiety is cast into a hole with no purpose. Anxiety still has a purpose at the end. I mean, we're in spoilers. Like, that's the whole point, is that, like, no one is meant to be locked away and never felt. Everyone needs to have their purpose at the table and used when they should be used.
That's really interesting you say that, though, because, I mean, part of the part of the thing that happens with Joy is that we find out in this movie that she has taken all the bad memories and pushed them down into some, like, virtual hellhole someplace that can't be reached.
Keep the best, dump the rest.
Right. So the thing is like, you're giving Joy is actually, I mean, you're giving Joy carte blanche to actually have other emotions, because she wouldn't just be Joy if she were doing that. Like, well, fear.
Yeah, everyone
in Joy.
Right. Everyone, like, all the emotions, because they have to operate as real characters. They don't just operate, like, they operate as their responsibility. Like, Joy is Joy all the time, but she has the meltdown in this movie, kind of like the America Ferrera speech in the Barbie movie last year. Of course I have to be delusional to be joyous all the time, because you people are fucking a pain to manage. Like that breakdown. But like, of course, that's not who she really is Joy. But like, that's a moment of weakness because she's overstressed, and she is out of her time, energy, and resources, and so she lashes. Like, that's like any of them do that. Just like how anger isn't literally screaming Lewis Black all the time, you know.
But lashes, but she's been doing this the whole time. Like, ever since she decided to make whatever that little sense of self tree or whatever that is, the little strands, I guess, that make the core memories.
Yeah.
She's been pushing all of those other things to the back of the pile all this time. So
yeah, she has to learn not to do that.
Than just
she has to learn not to do that,
you know
at
what
the
I mean?
end. Yeah, that's why at the end she doesn't, because I think at the beginning she would just be like Locke. That's what she'd learned in the first one. Is like sadness was never allowed to touch anything because she didn't want sad memories. And they're like, yeah, but you're literally supposed to be sad sometimes. Like you literally can't just be happy when you're supposed to be sad. You're supposed to be sad. And then so like she like in this one she's getting rid of the ones that she perceives. Oh, we don't need these. Like we don't need everything. But then that's the she has to realize that you need like it's the same realization from the first one, just more like a deeper one, because it is the same lesson, but it's flavored differently. I guess it's more complexly.
So I'm also making Jess's point that it's a bit of a revamp.
It is, but we're also saying like I felt different. I felt like a totally different experience watching this one. Like it doesn't feel like maybe that internal story is the same, and like even a lot of the joke structures are the same. Like there's like. Instead of the other one, they had like the dream one. This one has like the sarcasm. That's a great, just like 2-minute bit where it's like, oh, we got to yell across this thing. Oh, please, can you help us? Please, can you help us? Like, oh no, it's just such an easy joke. You come up with the writer's room, and you got to be patting yourself on the back for that one, you know. Oh, what did we think? So, all right. Of the new emotions, what do we think of the non-anxiety? Because anxiety's in charge, obviously. But what do we think of the other ones?
Let's see. Boredom, I thought was funny. Didn't have much of a purpose. I honestly, I don't even think we've ever seen Riley bored. Yeah, the French one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I could have done without boredom. I think embarrassment probably should have had a bigger role. I think embarrassment only did a couple things.
Embarrassment was key, though. Embarrassment had to work with
at the end
with sadness, and it makes sense. I like that they're the ones that have to connect, because sadness is sad that this is all happening, and embarrassment is embarrassed that like the new people are acting this way. So they are the logical connectors of like these two groups in this scenario. That's what like it's again, it's not just like random. It's not just thrown together like, oh, these are the emotions. Like, let's put them in a situation. Like that is funny to see the emotions in the situation, but it's also that these are the ones that make sense to be in this. It's not just like these are the ones that need to be in this, like for the story to make sense. Like it's thought about.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. And then who else am I missing? Agreed.
Envy.
Oh yeah, Envy.
Yes,
Envy.
Yeah. Envy always had the funny bits, I thought.
Did you like the new characters, Monica?
Yeah, so Envy had funny bits, but I think had the least amount of things to do, because it's Envy and Ennui are like two sides of one coin, sort of. And I like the Ennui one better. It's more I don't know. I like the whole gothness of it, just like, this is it's not quite boredom. It's just sort of like I have no use for this. Like, this is so dumb. Embarrassment did have a really big part to play, and again, I think you're right about it playing really well off of sadness. And I think there's a reason that embarrassment was such a physically big character, because even though anxiety had a lot of playtime in this movie, anxiety is a big piece, but I think at puberty, embarrassment is also a huge piece, and those two live really. I was
saying, embarrassment's like he's a big gangle, like not gang. He's not gangly, but he's like, oh, I'm awkward in a space,
oafish.
And oafish. Got the hood up all the time. It wasn't until the end takes the hood off, and I think he gets his last or first speaking lines later on, but. I was also thinking doing this. I was like, I wonder what my like counsel, like who would be like. I wonder what my current counsel in my own head looks like. Because I was like, everyone's definitely taken their turn in the driver's seat.
Who's in charge right now?
For everyone.
Yeah, I guess. I guess some people took longer turns than I wish they did. Some of people, but whatever. It is what it is. But
Kyle specifically liked the mom and the dad's little characters.
Right. Okay. I know you said you wanted to talk about them.
Yeah, he always laughed at like what the dads was thinking or what the dad said.
You notice when they go to the parents, in the dad's head, it's Anger who is like the one in charge, and they're pretty much always doing like some sort of watching like a hockey game or something. This is what typically is happening.
Always
and
sports related, yeah.
And then the mom's head, Sadness, is in charge, and then I think hers is a little different, like what they do. In the first one, I know she's fantasizing about some guy that she could have lived in Brazil with, the Brazilian pilot or something. I don't remember, but like it, well, like yeah. Okay, what did you want to mention about the parents in this one? I know you said something about them.
Well, I guess now that we're talking about their internal characters, but I wanted to specifically first talk about I did not. These parents were just too much. Like,
Too much.
There were things that I really didn't care for about these parents, where the woman was put into the classic spot where the woman's the one who has the anxiety about everything that's going on with the daughter and really worried about some stuff. And then they're in the car, they're getting ready to drop her off, and then her and the other girls off, and said something about, oh, we'll have extra time to do this, that, and the other. And then the dad gives her like the, we'll have some extra time to like, and she's like, we have so many things to do at home, blah, blah, blah. So she's got this list of things that needs to be done. And all he can think about is like, I want to get home and have sex with you without the kid being in the house. And I was just like, I hate that for this. And that kept on with the emotions of the parents in the same way. And I was like, I hate this part of this because
I gotta be straight with you. I don't even remember that part. I really don't. I
you know why? It was a total giveaway. I mean,
it was like a throwaway, like little scene.
Sorry, throwaway. But it was there for a reason, and I hated that.
Why do you hate that? You gotta reflect the reality. You can't just hate reality. You have to accept reality.
I think the mom was overly maternal, and then the dad was overly like ditzy, like dumb dad.
Yeah, they were kind of like the traditional, like almost sitcom level, where the mom worries too much and the dad is just checked out.
Yeah,
or a goofball.
Yeah.
He's either a goofball or he's checked out. I was just like, that just, I don't know if anybody cares about it, but it unnecessarily irked me in the movie theater when I was watching it. I was like, oh, is this what we're going to do? And then
they don't do that though. Like, it's not like they like linger on the parents' relationship and like how that it, like, that's like, to your point. I forgot that was even in there.
No, but when they do the that's the thing is like, I think when I see it differently because
it's a 96-minute movie. I think you're projecting a very small, this is a couple seconds.
All right, well, okay.
I understand. I thought your parents
the parents were fine.
I thought the parents
were also.
I thought that you were going to mention like the internal, like why Sadness is in charge of the mom and why Anger is in charge of the dad. Like I don't know. I thought you were going with the internal workings. I didn't even remember them having
the internal. It goes on into the internalness because you have the Anger in charge of the dad, and the dad's clearly mad that the mom isn't, more of a partner to him as opposed to being a mom because she has anxiety about her daughter. They're also parents to an only child. So I see this playing out all the time. So it's I guess I don't like it in reality, and that's why I don't like it being reflected on film.
I feel like you see a thing and then you put.
I don't think the only child thing makes a difference. I feel like the mom and dad would act the same way.
Yeah, I mean, the difference would be
hyper focus on that kid.
Well, the difference would be the daughter would be able to help the second kid, escape not escape the parents, but deal with the parents. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you helped your second your younger brother with the world.
You helped the number two.
No, it's for real. But I was like, what did I say? No, like the I think it's interesting. Like they basically leave the parent part out, other than just like we're focusing on the kid in this movie. Like we're focusing on Riley and her relationship with her friends, the new girl that she's interested. Did you think it was a crush thing, or did you think it was just a mentor thing? The older
with Val,
Val, I've read some people who are like, oh, it's like an LGBT thing. I'm like, oh, I guess it could be. Like, I don't know. I didn't realize it was supposed to be if it was a crush or like that's a cool friend. I didn't read what it was.
So we were kind of joking, like being like, so what's the third movie? Is Riley going to be gay?
Did you get like I couldn't tell. I didn't get that's what they were doing because Pixar movies usually don't feel very like sexual to me.
I think they could have. If they wanted to, like, roll with it that way, they could. But I think it was completely like wanted to be cool and wanted to fit in.
That's what I thought of. That's what
too.
I thought too. And then because also in the first one, Riley's got like the boy band fantasy. I mean, that's just maybe it's just like any little girl is the point of that. But I don't know. I had heard that at some point.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility of that. I think Pixar would not do it only because they got really just harshed with what happened with the lesbian couple in Lightyear. So I think, and not that was the problem.
Oh yeah, that's right. There was a lesbian.
Not that was the only problem with Lightyear, but I'm just saying that was part of the thing. Is has Disney lost its magic or whatever, and that's because pandering or whatever they want to call it. So I don't think
pandering.
that they would. No, I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying. Other people would say. But I was like, I've just shocked people. Whatever. Like that's just crazy.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna guess there's gonna be an Inside Out 3 because why wouldn't there after this really great
the money baby.
But it took them 10 years.
I know, but they took 10 years and they made it really good and it made a bunch of money. So I would say the
next one was going to take 10 years?
Wouldn't you? You don't want to see? We could see Riley college time and a high school college or something.
So that's what I'm thinking. Like, are they going to make it PG-13 and then do like Riley goes to college, or are they going to
no
say like Riley's cousin's coming to visit and then focus in on like a new
that's
character?
Like the ultimate challenge is to have a Pixar, like if you could do an Inside Out 3 where she's an adult but still keep it PG and not make it neutered somehow, like still make it feel.
I don't think they would be interested, like, any 7-year-old would be interested in Riley Goes to College.
I disagree, because they made Monsters University. I mean, that's a college movie. I like, when I was a kid, I like seeing movies about kids in college, not because I was a kid in college, because I wanted to see them fuck around and, like, have experiences. Like, as a kid, I didn't need, maybe not a 7-year-old kid, but, like, as a 10-year-old kid, maybe. And, again, I don't really know what this target audience is it like 8 to 12? Is it younger? I feel like younger would have a tough time digesting it. Maybe they would
have a tough time with this, and I think that's probably Inside Out, the OG.
Inside Out 1.
I think younger would have a tough time understanding it, but I still think they like just seeing on screen like how anxiety looks funny and makes just seeing like the characters run around. Like maybe they don't really know what it means, but I think they would still watch it because it's just colorful characters having funny voices and running around and doing crazy stuff.
Well, that's always been the appeal of Pixar, is that it makes a movie that's multi-layered, that it can appeal. I mean, in the beginning, it was like, we need something that's going to appeal to kids and something that's going to appeal to their parents. They put in a lot of, not quote adult jokes, but jokes that adults will get because they're, going back to either their childhood or whatever, and then they have, the basis of the movie is kid-based, but there's an appeal for both audiences. And I think Pixar, that's what Pixar's sort of been their bread and butter, is that most parents don't hate taking their kids to a Pixar movie because they know there's going to be something for them.
Yeah, like you take your kid to see Trolls 7 and you're like, end me. Like, I cannot take this glittery creature, screaming pit bull at me. I cannot take it anymore. And like, I can understand people, like the people with those kids.
I remember me and my brother went through like this massive Pokemon stage, and then my mom took us to the Pokemon movie, and she was like, I hated that movie. Like, it was terrible. Like I was so.
Are you talking about the one with Mewtwo? Because that is actually, as an adult, that is a good film. That is actually like Mewtwo, a well-told story.
Mewtwo,
it's got interesting.
Mewtwo.
Yeah, Mewtwo. You could do much worse for a kids movie than the first Pokemon movie. There's a couple of good Pokemon movies. They're not all good, but there's a couple.
Well, she hadn't wanted nothing to do with that.
I got to imagine too.
Well, if she didn't know the original 150 Pokemon, was she even your parent?
I gotta imagine, though, for a certain age, for most people, like, Case kind of an exception. I know a whole cohort of a certain age adults who are just like, if it's animated, it's for kids, and I can't. Like,
right.
Like, there's...
Honestly, that's the way my mom is, though.
Yeah, there's a group of, like, 45, 50 or older people, not a bunch of them left, but, they're hanging on, like, maybe The Simpsons is good, or like, I'm like, come on, man, like, there's good animation out there. You don't have to hold on to whatever you're holding on to so tightly. There's a lot of good stuff out there. Anxiety is gonna run Riley into the ground. The big tournament's coming up. Riley's making bad decisions. She stole that book. She's gonna she stole the what is it, the book, the journal of the coach, and she finds out that
coach.
Yeah, and she finds out she's might not be ready, which is kind of like the final straw on that I'm not good enough anxiety thing. She's training a bunch. She's messing up in the practice, and she has like the I guess the pivotal scene is she has a panic attack in the penalty box, and that's when you see anxiety's in the brain, and she's like vibrating. She's going so fast, and Joy has to like reach in there and just calm her down. Like, again, I haven't done the tear meter yet. This was effectively a teary movie for me. I think I cried. I think it was maybe twice. That part worked for me, though. I effectively was bawling when Joy just helped anxiety just finally just come. It's okay. Just fucking chill out. You're good. Like, yeah, it was very emotional.
I don't think Joy said that.
It was very close to that. That's what I heard. That's what I felt. That's what I felt. How about that?
So the very end where Riley makes the team, Kyle and I both thought that she should not have made it because she was a complete asshole. Like, not being a team player the first 3 quarters of the game, just trying to show off, and again, just not being a team player. And then I guess at the end, she kind of, I don't know, came on the other side of things, but still, most of the time, she was not great. And then she did something wrong. She stole the book, and I think she should have at least gotten in trouble or acknowledged for that. So we were kind of like, this shows a message of you can cheat, you can act like a bad player, and then you can still make the team.
All right, I understand that thing.
Act like a bad teammate, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
I choose to take the more graceful thing in that, like, you because this is a child, and like, I think a lot of people learn that, like, when you're a kid, like, you don't make mistakes, because in the real world, if you make mistakes, you have consequences, and like a boss will get mad, or you go to jail, or you won't pay a bill, and like something bad will happen if you don't do something. And I think we've maybe taken away a little bit, like, you're supposed to make mistakes as a kid, and even if it hurts other kids, those other kids actually maybe have to learn with other people making mistakes and how to deal with that without being a dick. Because in real life, you'll have to deal with other people being mistakes. And you don't want to just sit there fuming while they make mistakes. Like, if someone's being a shithead in line, you don't just stand there. You don't want to just stand there fuming like, this person sucks. Like, you can do that, but that only hurts you. Maybe it's better to learn that mistakes are okay and they're good. And then you learn from them. And then you can put anxiety in the nice chair with the tea. And then she can remember that there's a math test or whatever.
Well, that's what I meant. Like, she should have not made the team and then come to terms with it and be like, you know what?
I agree with the not making the team part. Actually, that would have been a interesting choice. Although, it was the last thing. That was the last performance, right? The one that was the whole point. Mm-hmm. Okay. It would have been nice if she didn't make the team just so you could see. Though I don't think she should have gotten in trouble for the thing. I am okay with her not getting in trouble for that.
Okay, yeah, maybe not gotten in trouble, but just, I guess the whole concept of she did this bad thing, she acted like an asshole, and then she made the team.
Yeah.
All that wrapped together.
She did apologize to her friends, though, sincerely, because she saw her error in her ways. That's nice. It's not like she just...
Or she should have, like, admitted to the coach, like, hey, I did this, or something.
That's true. She didn't do anything to the coach. Although, to be fair, this coach, a little harsh. I don't know. I didn't love the coach at the camp. She's a little harsh.
She was harsh.
Especially when you're dealing with, like, 13-year-olds. These are not even high schoolers yet. Like,
I know, and this is camp. Like, this is not, like...
It's a 1-week camp.
And, like, it's a 1-week camp when they're 13. This is not... They're not going whatever pro is, or, like, I don't know.
Right.
Like, yeah, there's just...
Yeah, and you're also throwing 13-year-olds in the piranha room with, almost 18-year-old adults, basically, because that's what's happening.
Yeah, the 17-year-old, 18-year-olds. Yeah.
Which is really, I think that's a really tricky piece. I found that to be a little tricky, so.
They still do. The thing is, that's like modern day. Like, they do that. Like, freshmen play with seniors all the time. Like, it's just part of the management of it, Just gotta manage it. Got allowed to happen because the alternative, you let the physically gifted 14-year-old beat up the other 14-year-olds, like, I don't know, like, that's not amazing either. I know there's an emotional management piece to it, but there's got to be, there's trade-offs no matter what you do. People aren't the same, unfortunately. I think other points on Inside Out 2 you guys wanted to make.
Let me look at my notes.
Yeah, dig it. I was just asking you one or your theater experience, Jess. You said you and Kyle were there. Were there other people? Pretty full? Not really.
Yeah, it was pretty full. I think we saw it on a Thursday. It was like a Thursday at 7, and there was definitely families. And then there was just a couple of just like regular age people. So it was a mix.
No, it was pretty solid. I saw it on a Wednesday after work, and it was I think it was like a 5:00 show, and yeah, pretty crowded. It was at the theater that I go to where like no one's ever there. I saw Mad Max the week it came out, nobody was there, and it was not a weekend day, but no one, 0 people, and like I'm like, wow, this is wild. And yeah, I saw Inside Out 2, and there was probably like 25 people in there. I'm like, wow, I've never seen this many people in this theater. This theater's like a main theater. There's no one that goes to this one, but. Yeah, do you have any other?
Well, I mean, it is kind of mostly the first week of full week of school being out.
That's
so,
true.
You know, people are probably trying to do that. I told Brennan this story after I went to the theater, which I thought was super cute. So the kids that I was telling you about that were being super nice and unexpected to me, we were watching before the previews. You know, you get all the commercials, and there was a commercial that came on that had John Cena in it. And those kids went nuts. I mean, absolutely nuts for this commercial. And I was just like, they know who John Cena is?
He's a meme.
Like, what is happening? I know, but it was just like the craziest thing because it was just one kid all of a sudden going, oh, that's John Cena. Oh my God, it's John Cena. Everybody, John Cena. John Cena's on. It was like, I think they're more excited about that than they were about seeing Inside Out too.
That's it. The way kids are still the same as they've always been is that they love just pointing at a thing like, I know that thing. That is just that is the most kid thing.
It was great though.
It's the most core kid thing ever. It's like, I recognize that. We all recognize this from a thing we
we are all part of this group.
We're all laughing at the same thing for the same week in school or whatever, and our team is laughing, whatever it is. Yeah. That's that strange camaraderie, whatever it is. Inside Out 2. We gonna recommend it, Jess?
Oh yeah, I would totally recommend it. I wish I was actually a teenager watching this and I could record my reaction to that, just kind of understanding how it's different than what my reaction is now.
It goes back to what you always say is that I wish I could be born later. Like, you're like, I wish I could be a kid right now. Like,
well, I feel like this is such a good movie for a teenager. So I kind of wish I experienced that.
Yeah, some things never change. But, no, nice. And I recommend from Jess, Mama K.
Yeah, also a high recommend from me. It's been a while.
I reckon, yeah, it's been a while since you were enthusiastic about a movie. I will say that.
Yeah.
Maybe I think you liked
and a Pixar movie.
Actually, I would say you've liked a couple we've done, but it was like the obvious ones, not the. It's been a while since you liked some of the but Inside Out 2, it hits the mark for me. Pixar, of course, I love it. I would love to sit down and do the re-rankings again because it's been 5 or 6 since I last did it. But this is top half of the newer stuff. It's getting harder to explain. I kind of like put the first 6 in my own head as like the BC, the before Cars era. Those guys are kind of like it's like untouchable. It's a Michael Jordan with the Bulls kind of run. It's like a dynasty, and like you don't even want to touch that. And then after Cars, plenty of great movies, tons of them, and then also the rest of it. So a little more like a regular studio after that. But that BC era, man, fucking Jordan-esque, my God. 3 recommends for Inside Out 2. Fantastic movie. And I'm already excited about the top 5 show this year, because I have 5, I think I already have 5 4.5s or better. And I usually can't even muster up that at the end of the year. So it's 2024, year of bangers. Great work, everybody. Even though we don't have any shows, because we only talk about the really good stuff. Everything else we save for the catch-ups, which is what we'll be doing next. We're going to do a catch-up show for May and June, because we didn't put out a ton of episodes, but we saw stuff. It's just, what are we going to talk about? We'll talk about it, but none of it warrants more than a couple minutes apiece. Catch-up episode, then we'll do some more, whatever was in the summer. I know it was a Marvel film. There's some smaller indie movies I'm excited for. Longlets, Nicolas Cage, coming out soon. And if you have things to recommend us, there's always a Nick Cage on the horizon. He's always working. Films with the Women in My Life on Facebook. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'm Brennan_podhost. And you can email the show with questions, suggestions, recommendations, all that crap. Films with the Women at gmail.com. filmswithwomen@gmail.com. Thank you guys for being on Inside Out 2.
You got it.
Mm-hmm. Till next time, this is Brennan signing off, saying thanks for listening. Enjoy your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.